Okay, so this video is going to be the closing process in Maryland. It's going to be specific to Maryland. So if you're not in Maryland or you're not planning on being a Maryland real estate agent, you don't need to watch this. Unless, of course, you're really bored. Okay, sellers paid the balance at the purchase price. Let's see. Let me read this other one here real quick. The closing process at a glance. This is what we need. So if you need any screenshots, that will be it right there. Sellers paid the balance at the purchase price. Is paid the balance. There probably won't be a balance, right? Yeah, maybe. All right. Part of the closing. Buyer wires the money. Okay. Not part of the closing. The buyer does not wire money. Usually in the state of Maryland, it used to be face-to-face. Now, since COVID happened, I'm not sure if they're doing that anymore or they're doing virtual. Because I haven't closed on a house since COVID. The funds that a buyer brings to closing must be in the form of a cashier's check, a certified check, or a wire transfer. There's always an attorney representing the seller. I don't think so. At closing, the seller must be paid the balance of the purchase price with a certified check. I don't know if it has to be a certified check. Okay, Okay, so the buyer pays the balance with this. The seller, it doesn't say what the seller can get paid in. All right, so I'm going to put false. No other form of payment is accepted. I'm going to put false. Parties have agreed to the conditions, contingencies. Buyer receives a binder for insurance coverage. I think that would be before. Yeah, say prior to closing. Yeah, I would think that would be before closing because they aren't going to give you the home. Okay. There's always an attorney. False. True. False. Okay. Grants the property that is being sold to the buyer and receives payment for the property. I gotta tell you, I really hate. Oh, was this a cartoon? Let's open it up because I like the cartoons. Let's meet the players. This is Learn the Game channel, so let's meet the players. And you do not have to have an attorney, by the way. I don't remember why that's coming up. All right. Well, not every buyer or seller will bring an attorney. Those who want to bring their own attorney can. You don't really need an attorney. I mean, unless you're really nervous. I mean, you don't. So the settlement officer is going to be there, the buyer, the buyer's agent, the real estate agent, the seller's agent. It's a lot of people, and I'm not really sure they're doing that anymore since COVID. They might have switched to a virtual thing. The buyer provides support for their client and collects their commission. Seller and buyer examines all documents. The title company representative presents all documents, obtains signatures, and this one's probably the seller. The lender attorney will make sure there are no problems with the title. The title company is the one who gathered the information. So those two must be mixed up. Okay. All right. Who closes which contracts? Oh my God, this is really long. Okay, close on the sale agreement. Seller and buyer. Close on the mortgage loan. Buyer and lender. Close on the title insurance. Close on the listing agreement. Close on the cooperative brokerage agreement. Close on compensation agreement. Why not review the resource and try again? Okay, well, we only got two mixed up here. So the cooperative brokerage agreement would probably be the agents for buyer and seller. Compensation is the brokers. Okay, seller and buyer, close on the sale. Mortgage loan is buyer and lender. Title is the titles. The listing agreement. Cooperative broker is seller and buyer, and the compensation is brokerage. Coordinates the paperwork. What is part of the settlement officer's role? Accepts title for the property, disperses funds, records new deeds, grants property to the buyer. Records new deed. Okay, that is part of their role, and part of their role is to order abstract of title. Okay. So they don't grant property to the buyer, and they don't accept title for the property. They don't do that, and they don't do that. Everything else they do. Whoops, I don't know how this came up. I'm sorry about that. I have no idea how that came up. But anyway, coordinates paperwork. What am I missing here? Disperses funds. All right, closing disclosures. Yeah, we got like 4 lessons. See how long that lesson 1 was? All right, document signed and agreed at closing that reconciles what the final obligations are. The amount a party has to pay. The amounts they're reimbursed. The closing disclosure, you will get 2 or 3 different ones before you actually go to the table. Usually things change. All right, the purchase price of the property. Is this a debit or credit? I mean, these are good to know, but you're not going to be the one that's doing this. The loan officer is. So again, if they start asking you detailed questions about this closing disclosure, which will happen, by the way, you just refer them to your loan officer so that you don't piss off your client and potential future clients by answering the wrong questions. So you are not the expert on this stuff. It's good to know it, and for some reason we got to know it for this class. And I can't remember if they asked you this on the test or not. I can't remember, but it is good to know. Knowledge is power, right? This is a buyer debit, earnest money. Okay, so this one is a credit. Balance of the loan is a credit. And this one's a debit. Okay, the payoff of the mortgage is a credit for them. Purchase price is a credit, and the buyer's share of any is a debit. And we got them mixed up again. Debit, credit, credit. Debit, credit, credit. Just like I said before, you are not going to have to know this. You are not the professional. You are not the unless you want to be a loan officer, which would be good. You have to be pretty good at math, which if you go back and take some of these math videos, if anybody is actually watching this video, because I don't know too many people in Maryland that are going to be watching this, but anyway, because it's so specific. And, you know, it may happen in 10 years. I might get a couple views on this video, but I don't expect this video to be one of my biggest views because it's so specific to the state of Maryland. And RESPA stands for Disclosure Requirements. Ensure that the buyers in residential real estates know their loan is settlement. Disclosures that lenders give buyers to make them informed decisions. If a buyer doesn't receive the loan estimate, the lender may mail the documentation within 2 weeks of receiving the... I don't know about that one. Okay, this one is 3 business days. The first one is false. Okay, and I can't remember what it stands for. What does it stand for? Does it tell me in here? RESPA. Usually it'll tell me. Okay, so let's go back and try this again. You cannot mail that documentation to the borrower for loan estimate form. I'm pretty sure it has to be within a certain amount of days. That's a trick question. Which transactions require the use of a loan estimate and closing disclosure forms? Second and first mortgage are the only things that need a loan estimate and closing disclosure form. All right, must be provided to the borrower a minimum of 3 days before closing. Indicates rate lock. Columns for borrower paid. It allows the borrower to compare loans with different terms. Discloses information about a demand feature of the loan. Must be provided to the applicant within 3 business days of applying for the loan. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This is a loan estimate. And this is let's look at these for a second. I guess I should have pulled this out. It's just telling you what it is. This is a loan estimate form, and it's just giving you a breakdown of some stuff. This is an example of it. It gives you your rate lock information. And this is the closing disclosure. And I can pull these up in big screen here so you can see them in more detail. This is a loan estimate form. It pretty much looks like this too. It's going to give you a breakdown of the interest rate, your monthly principal and interest. Estimated closing costs, and again, these are estimated. These will fluctuate before you go to the closing table. It's just going to give you a breakdown, an idea of your closing costs. And they're going to tell you that this is not set in stone, by the way, because you have confirmed that you received this form. And that's basically it. Okay, now let's look at the difference between this and the closing disclosure. Almost exactly the same thing, isn't it? So this is when you go to the closing table, and you can see that it's almost the same exact thing. And it just looks a little different because it's going to have the borrower paid in one column and the seller paid in the other. It's going to show you the difference, who pays what. And it's going to break everything down by your taxes, how many days you got left in the month, like right in here. If you prepaid any interest or taxes, then you're going to get credited for that. The seller is. HOA fees, real estate commission fees, home warranty, home inspection fees, all those things will be in here. And if you've never seen this before, then this is kind of what it looks like. And this is standard all over the United States. Okay, so going back to these questions, interest includes rate lock information. It was on the loan estimate. That's going to lock it in. This also allows you to compare loans, the loan estimate form. Information about a demand feature, which I don't know what that means. Okay, so let's try this again. All right, signing the disclosure form obligates the borrower to accept the loan. I don't think so. All right, we're not going to look at this again. We already looked at it once. It's pretty much the same thing. I don't think that's correct. I could be wrong. The closing disclosure form lists both the buyer and seller closing costs, identifies which items were changed from those listed on the loan estimate. All item amounts listed in the loan estimate must match. No, that's going to change. The loan estimate is just that, an estimate form that lists services for which the borrower may select a provider. I don't think so. Let's go back and look at that again. I don't think it does have anything like that on there. Has your property taxes, cash to close. It just gives you an idea of all your stuff. I don't think it gives list services for which you may select a provider. Include detailed information about the terms of the loan. Apparently it is. Okay, let's go back and look at it. Now I need to know. Services you can shop for. Now I need to, whoops, I didn't want to do that, but okay, here we go. Services to shop for. All right, let's go. Other considerations, maybe. Services you can shop for. Okay, this is what they're talking about. So these are things that you will probably need and an example of how much they cost. So I stand corrected. Okay, so this one is true. So we got them all right but that one. Okay, let's try this again. Let me make sure I changed that one I didn't know first. Adjustments. Okay, this is the last lesson. Hopefully it won't take too long because we're getting close to 20 minutes. Okay, adjustments are prorates, real estate taxes, fuel, water, sewer charges, rent, interest. Based on who actually owes the expense. Accrued expenses go in the buyer's debit column. Buyer's debit column. Seller's debit column. Right here it says accrued expenses will go in the seller's debit column. Our examples of typical prorated items are prepaid items go in the seller's credit column and the buyer's debit column. And it's very hard to remember that. I mean, like I said, if you're unsure, you need to go to a loan officer because they are going to ask you. They're going to get this paper, their closing disclosure form, their first one, and they're going to be like, what is this? Why is this much and this much? And you are going to have to refer them to the loan officer or you are going to be the bad guy. or the bad girl. Unpaid is accrued rent collected from the seller, taxes that have been paid in advance, rent paid by the seller. Okay, and I'm looking right over here. That's why I got that 100%. So, debit credit card charge, typical buyer debits, typical seller debits, discount points, typical buyer debits, appraisal fee, deed preparation, typical seller debits, delinquent property taxes. If you want to take a screenshot of this, if you think you might need it, you can use this in any state, by the way. So a lot of this stuff is not, I'm not going to put Maryland on the title of this because I think a lot of this can be used for anywhere. There's only a few things on here that are specific to Maryland, and that was probably lesson 1, maybe some of lesson 2. Earnest money already paid. Earnest money already paid, buyer credits. Unpaid prorated real estate property taxes. Escrow balance on assumed loan. Insurance premium prorate. All right, unit exam, 8 questions. Oh my God. Okay, this one might have to do more than once because I don't have all these debits and credits memorized. Okay, which of the following statements about settlements is true? All right, if you're confused on wet and dry closings, we can Google that if we have time at the end, but if not, you can Google it and you can see what this means. Usually dry means you don't have any cash at the table. Wet settlement or wet closing. Here. Or maybe I have it the opposite way. Maybe the wet is you don't have wiring the money. Let's Google it so I don't get it wrong because I really need to pass this because. Okay, let's see what we got here. Parties have executed appropriate closing documents and settlement agent is all possession of all funds. It doesn't say all of that. Doesn't say all that. Okay, what's this one mean? Both dry and escrow closings can be conducted as long as parties agree to transaction. Which of the following actions occurs prior to closing? This one. I think it's that one. I'm not sure. Okay, what information does the loan estimate provide to buyers? Under required disclosure law. Which document is signed and agreed to at closing and reconciles what the first final financial obligations are for the buyer and seller? When is the seller paid the full amount of the purchase property for the property? When is the seller paid the full amount? At the closing, I'm guessing, right? Which of the following is provided at the time of buyer's offer and shows what seller's proceeds will be accepted? What the seller's proceeds will be if the seller accepts the offer. I'm thinking it's this, but didn't really talk about that. Okay, assuming a loan is involved in as part of the sales transaction, which of the following key players are responsible for ensuring that the property for which the lender is providing a loan has a clear title? Which of the key players are responsible for ensuring that the property for which the lender is providing a loan has a clear title? Settlement agent? Nope, failed. Okay, so I'll have to take this again on the next one. All right, so illegal to conduct a settlement if the money is not at the table. And this one we got wrong too. Apparently, I don't know what wet and dry is. Okay. The last signature on the closing docs before money can be dispersed and possession occur. The buyer obtains a binder. I got that one right. Loan payment schedule. Okay. I really did bad on this, didn't I? Okay, when is the seller paid the full amount for the purchase property? And I got that one right, seller net sheet. And this one is lender's attorney. All right, lender's attorney. Okay, interesting. All right, I'm going to end this video and because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pass this again on the next try or not. So let's just go back through these again. Some of these are specific to Maryland, so if they are, you just ignore them because it will change. But most of them are the same everywhere, okay? Thank you all for watching.